Perfect. Y'all doing all right? Still got
The sport cap was always a bit.
Oh, all right. Okay, all right. Well, this is Brian Meyer with the Gulf Coast Minority Chambers. Y'all do American all day long. Sorry.
This is your Robin.
Good way.
Oh.
Where's Harry at when I need her?
Breast cancer walking.
Yeah. I have. And recently, got two good friends who are heading up teams. Dr. Joyce Hobson,
Yes.
heading up a team, and Alicia Williams Macklin is heading up a team. We know we got other people who are heading up teams as well.
Yeah, this year's hair company, they brought this thing called the mega breast. So what it is an inflatable breast you can walk into and you can see the cancerous tumors and see how the breast on the inside works. It's like 20 feet long, 13 feet tall. They ship it in, and so our company's helping to bring what's called a mega breast in Pensacola. It's gonna be a nice thing to be able to walk in and see what's going on.
I'm so glad your enunciation, because I thought you said make a breast. Did you get that else? I'm the only one. Thank you. I thought you said make a breast too.
Well, you gotta be careful because I was searching with mega breast, if I don't know about it online, and got some scary hits. So I gotta be very careful. Mega breast and inflatable.
You got all the MEGA breast.
Yes, inflatables.
Okay, which is
For events.
still make sure you don't go to a rated X.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
When you saying that, we need to talk to the breast cancer people and tell them to
Medical.
the
The medical.
talk to them too.
Yes.
So we got the jokes. So anyway, John, have a good month. Yeah, a good week, a good day. That's all I know. I can't come down from the days I went to public school. What's going on with the chamber?
Gosh, we've been having a busy year again. We kind of worked, to be honest with you, kind of quiet over the last year. There's been some challenges in the world of DEI and diversity. Many languages of bylaws, visions, missions were changed. Grants that I personally was involved in to change what we say and what we're about. At one point I said, oh my gosh, I got to change our chamber and make us be different to comply with national guidelines to get grants and funding. But I said, no, I'm going to just ride it out. So we've been a little quiet and kind of waiting, but now since October came along, we got our funding from the county and city again. We can definitely go back out and do more. So we've been very active. We had an after hours event here just on Tuesday. It was a great turnout. Deidre, Low Wage, several people were here. Mr. Watson was here. We had a great time reconnecting again. We got more events happening next week with how to do business with local government. So Deidre over here in Lunderman, she's going to be hosting that at City Hall and get a chance to meet out with and find people ways that events business can work with the government. And Deidre does an amazing job hosting it. She brings in different speakers in there, and it's just a great event. So thank you, Deidre, for all the support of having an event for us.
Especially in this time. And I just encourage people, especially during this time in our country, to stay mission focused.
Yeah.
And not money focused, because
Exactly.
other folks will get in there, and then their focus will change. But people or nonprofit organizations and the companies need to stay on their mission, not on the money. In the world, we call that being a grant. But I can't say that on TV until I got it.
FCC.
Yeah. Well, it's a garden tool. So, yeah. Oh, baby. We don't want them to be a garden tool. Yeah.
Also,
After the money.
I'll change the subject real fast.
I'm just saying. We just want people.
I'm working on the too, to the shovel. So yeah, today we got
to spade, back up. Okay. Okay.
I'm dressing a little down today because this is my Live United shirt. We have the United Way Day Care. Yes, I am right now. But we had United Way Day of Caring, and that's where businesses and groups come out and they help support schools. I visited about 10 schools and nonprofits personally where people like Navy Federal, Baptist Hospital, the city of Pensacola, they came out and they worked. I mean, they were out there pressure washing, pulling like flower beds, cleaning. I mean, really some good manual hard labor. our community. It was a great event, chance to see nonprofits benefiting from our local businesses helping support them. That's a wonderful event today to speak about what's going on earlier today.
Pensacola have a great history of volunteering and helping out. Yeah. So appreciate that. So, but before we totally forgot to say thank you to all of our sponsors.
Yes.
Who made this possible? Y'all give a hand up for our sponsors. Who made this possible. Couldn't do it without you, especially with this building, what we call the Eddie Todd Building, the Village Square. We've been here for 12 years now. I started when I was 13. It's been here for 12 years now. So we are just really grateful. Lord has put up y'all give it up for our production director. He's elevated our production director, Lord Richard.
He's now a logistics manager too. He's logistics manager. Wow. Moving stuff around
like he was 26 years old.
Like Reverend Powell. I mean, I tell you, every day I walk in this building, I just think about Reverend Powell, and luckily they're going to do some honoring of him next week. Naming the street after him.
Yeah, I want you to bring that up too. We talked about that. But again, thank you to WBQP TV, the Watsons. Y'all give it up for them. Jenny paid me to say that. He said, I'll give you 2 cents, Rob. So we appreciate it. Now, who is our first time visitors?
First time visitors, stand up, please. Nobody's first time visitors?
Yeah, like you're in church. Yeah, you're our special guest. Y'all give it up for our virgin. We call you a virgin. Give it up for our virgin. Oh, it's like architect, bro. You ain't got insurance like that. We got cheering. Don't have a heart attack. Y'all will meet here shortly. So you mentioned that there are some things going on. You want to talk about what's going on?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I gave you some flyers earlier, but we have a how to do work with the local government event I talked about earlier. Deidre Lunderman does an amazing job with that. We're going to be helping to sponsor the Ashley Clinic. It's an insurance company right down here in the atrium. They're going to be here next Thursday. So we're going to find out a little more about insurance and about what's going on. They're hosting a little event in the atrium for on next Wednesday. I'm sorry, the 29th.
They're going to have food.
They are going to have food. Yes. Like that. And then next Saturday is a big day. It's the community health fair going on. The Delta's putting on their event. We're going to help host them in the atrium here with some tables. They're going to have 20 to 25 vendors across here, upstairs, and maybe across the street or at their own building. And at 12:30, listen to the flyer here. We're going to have a special presentation with Executive Director of the Truth for Youth, and they're going to be naming street with Dr. Reverend John Powell. So it's taking place at 12:30, but it should be a great day to come out, see some of the health fair events, and also see that great recognition provided to Reverend Powell.
Yeah, we just want to really lift up Reverend Powell and his family. They've got some challenges, health challenges right now, so definitely lift up his daughter-in-law, Lauren. His work is really one of the reasons why we've been able to be here for so long. He was our nonprofit partner for 12 years, and so Truth for You, they continue to be, but Reverend Powell specifically. So we are because Reverend Powell. So yeah, just kudos to him and his spirit now. So we're grateful for that. And then on that same day, so it's going to be a busy next Saturday, the worship experience. I'm going to bring Urban Bird up here in just a second, but that's going to be from 12 to 3 down in the Museum Plaza Park. You don't have to go anywhere to Brian. You okay? You don't have to. I took a bath. You ain't have to go anywhere. Hold on. And then, are you a super fine?
I am not.
Are you super fine? That's for Harriet, but are you a dandy?
I'm not a dandy.
Okay, all right. So the African American Heritage Society is having their 35th annual gala, anniversary gala on Saturday, November 15th, and featuring the super fine dandies. So they're taking a nod from the Met Gala, all the pharaohs and all of that. So that's going to be.
They got some great dandies lined up. Quint Studer, Chip Simmons, Larry Brooks. This thing gives a lot of people, a lot of dandies being involved with that.
Fine, we'll talk about that. Anyway, you looking at me?
He is.
Okay, telling me to keep going.
He's looking at you with love. It's inspirational.
I think that's keep going. I know that look.
Okay, looking at it all.
I know. It's a sixth sense. I know when he's saying, keep it rolling, Robin, keep it rolling. I know when he's saying that.
That's the director's job, though. Make sure things like that.
You back down to production assistant, bro. All right. So let's bring up Urban Bird to talk about the worship experience. Welcome, Urban. Y'all give Urban a big old hand. So this is the second annual.
Actually, this is
Third, what you say?
We
Wow.
are. So, third year, it is a community event, but it's really nice for me. And for the organization, I say me, I get excited, so I have to be reminded, there's a group of us. But it is open to purchase, it doesn't matter your denomination. We want your choir, praise band, and artists, anything that resembles worship in the community, and it's growing. So you get on stage, and it's a fun day. It's a family fun day. We do have police the control department. It's, even at the church event, sometimes people devil. Do we have the police?
Oh, okay.
No, we're present.
Oh,
okay. That's good.
We're going to we have security.
No, 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 no. No, we have, I was in the choir, right? So anyway, the praise. I say that because the climate of the in America right now. Right. So you would think that it's all kidding aside, it's a religious space, a safe space. However, we are seeing the country that it's not a big set. And so we are kind of forward thinking that we have that presence. Yes. I can't say enough about it. The third year, our sponsors, Baptist Hospital, Wilmer Financial Group, State Farm Insurance, Chick-fil-A has been there with us for a couple of years. Good Vibe Macon. Yeah. So and then we have giveaways. We just found out last night that we're giving away a bicycle with gift cards. So it's really just a fun time.
Car? What'd you say? Bicycle?
No. Let's get that right. Let me get the camera. There is no car. There is no bicycle and gift card.
Oh, gift card.
Gift card.
Pronunciation of my ears. Go ahead.
That's like the mega. This is a regular comedy show. But this, so let me tell you a little bit about how we came to be. So America comes together. We seem to come together when there is a crisis, or weather crisis, epidemic. So during COVID, many churches closed, and people came away from church. Many churches did not reopen. Many people did not return. So this is the Fall Worship Festival hosted by the Worship Experience. And the organization, we believe that worship is a lifestyle. Worship is not church. Worship is serving the Almighty and the community. So that's where we bring the community.
It's open to any
It's open
denomination.
to any denomination.
Any denomination.
Yeah.
You don't have to be as you alluded to here. You don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to follow.
We want everybody.
Every philosophy and every.
Yeah.
As long as it's good.
It's good. It's good. And as long as you're not disruptive. Can we just say that? Because we put it on the tape, I know who you are. We just say what it is. Yeah, as long as you're not disruptive and you can come and be peaceful. And we've not had any problems over 3 years. Probably my favorite part of the event is that we have a prayer tent in the back of the park. It's optional, but it's full every year. The people who are under the prayer tent are vetted. So we don't do spooky spiritual. We don't offer count.
We'll talk spooky spiritual later.
Embracing authority on it. And so we vet the people who are there, people that we trust, people that are going to, you just want to come and just talk to somebody since I just want to pray with somebody. And it's not intrusive, it's straightforward.
So then last question before we let you go, Brian talked about his voice and his singing. So it's open to any choir or individual.
Yes.
You can have solo singers.
We would like to have Brian.
Because the Lord hears the perfect pitch, right? Okay.
I think there's a scripture that says, make a joyful noise.
Oh, yeah. He won't be there. Thank you so much.
And so I will say, this will be my last comment. So we're here, so we're still looking for sponsors. We're looking for talent. If you want to bring your choir, you want to bring your band, we're looking for vendors. And this year, we're gonna have the Health and Hope Clinic, so Baptist is the sponsor. There'll be screenings. It's true community, because worship is larger than Sunday morning.
So Saturday, November first,
And it's 12 to 4.
12 to 4, and down at
Downtown to the
Park.
amusement park.
Down so you can come and eat. And vendors and all of
Bring
that.
your lawn chair. Yeah. So everybody in here, bring your families, bring your friends, bring your churches. It really is a fun time.
Good. Well, we look forward
Thank
to enjoying it with you.
All right.
I'll see y'all there.
So you so good. Let's call a busy town now. What's going on?
Here we need events like this,
Yeah.
like what's happening with the Deltas, like the African American Heritage Society, like what Liberty Bank does. I'm throwing that in there. Huh? It's not Liberty. Y'all set people free with money. He said, yes, we just renamed it Loyalty Bank. Thank you. You know what? He knows who I'm talking about.
Do a good job, parents. Parents, good to see you again. Thanks to parents, person to do.
But it is a liberty.
Liberate the money.
That's the other people. That's not loyalty. So thank you so much, and we'll see y'all there. And so all of that we will post on the Pensacola Network site. And so I want to say hi to all of our Facebook people out there before we go to
Hi,
LinkedIn.
Facebook people.
WBQP all along the Gulf Coast. We want to thank them. And just a special shout out to Robert Hill with WRNE Choice 106.9 and WRNE 980 AM. And he makes his next transition. We are so excited for him as he makes next big step in life. He didn't make a transition. I didn't say that.
He transitioned away from the state.
Yeah,
transition from the state into his next goal.
Transition.
Yeah, we're very happy for him. He's transitioning up to good things. He's transitioning to retirement. And, yeah.
Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. We need to give something away. She already said no. No, yeah.
So Deidre, no? Deidre, no. No, she said no.
Singing or not. We'll give something away and then we'll invite her.
I'm not transitioning either.
I know that stomach issue. Never say the stomach's the second brain. Yeah, so my brain ain't functioning.
No,
quite
no,
right.
you're doing a good job. Thank you, did great.
So
Business cards?
too bad.
Yes, ma'am.
And so before we have the, let's just get the cards here, we can go raffle later.
Gold bars are so heavy.
They are, we need it right now.
Huh.
So November is our final month, for the Pensacola Network for this year. So again, as nonprofits, we invite you out. So we're talking about that a little bit.
As we transition into 2026 and 2025, which is not the final one forever, but it's a transition to the next year.
2 cards, please. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my.
Deidre Lunderman. Yeah, I love getting Deidre up on the stage. She's so good to be in front of people.
She could drink.
She could drink.
She left. Oh my God. She was our speaker last month. Okay. Oh, we'll just say she left. We won't tell. We won't tell. Is that Janita Hill?
Janita Hill. Yeah.
There you go. Brian, would you take a picture with me, please? All right.
What up?
No, you take a picture.
Yeah.
I'm telling you today. Oh, our gift bag donors, IMS, experts, Studer Institute, Gulf Coast Minority Chamber, and all of our great sponsors. I don't know who put something in the bag, but it's all good. Plus, that Gold Bar Brian talked about. Okay. It's in there. It's in there too. All righty. Anything else? So good production director, assistant / associate. Okay.
Probably not, because move on fast. Okay.
So I'm going to switch microphones with you. So if you put that microphone there, we're going to invite Eric Dozier to come up, and we'll put that one on there. What? Overstar. Remember, y'all.
Oh, that's better.
Your microphone.
Oh, sorry. I gotta go to the next one.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Here to be up here with you. That was Brian making jokes. That was not me. That was Brian. That was Brian. That was Brian. Maybe we do need to change microphones here. Oh, I'm gonna put it down. I remember this is the way Oprah started. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. Y'all ready? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. There you go. There you go. You can look at me instead of the thousands of people out there. You can look. Tell them, hey, tell them, hey, tell them, hey. Well, y'all, welcome to the Pensacola Network Show. Oh, there you go, there you go, there you go. All right. About 500 people in here this time. So I am so excited to. I have one note, and you'll see that I have one note. I screenshot your website. That's all. Yes. Yeah, that's only note. That's the only note. All right. That's my lead. So probably like most of you, I met or knew of Eric Dozier about. I've been here now. I've been since 2020. Okay. So probably about 4 years ago, when we started hearing about the musical Henry Box Brown. So anybody see that? Okay, we don't want to take 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. Okay, all right. Not 500, but that's why. But they gonna see it when it goes to Broadway. Right. They can see, so y'all gonna pay $1,200 like we pay. And so it was, and that musical was incredible. But then to learn about all of your background and what led you up to even writing that was fantastic. So Eric Dozier is, as he describes himself, an itinerant preacher, a blues artist, a cultural activist, and just an all-around good guy. That's the way I'll talk about him. We did some work together in his capacity as a music director, which I'm really excited. We'll talk about that too. But would you please join me in welcoming Eric Dozier with his company, Mobile Soul Cafe. But okay, so please welcome me do that right. Eric Dozier with Mobile Soul Cafe. Let me do that. Too much and not enough, and not enough. So our whole deal is about. It's really about healing, and so and how music can do that, and how music and the arts and general, but music in particular, because that really is your background. And on your website, I like it because you call your grandpa Paul. Right. And he said something to you that really sort of made that change for you. So talk about your family. So I grew up in a tiny little, call it a southern hamlet of Bakewell, Tennessee, which is 40 miles north of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Population about 350, so less than the number of people in here tonight. Wow. So it's did you have a stop sign? Not until I was about maybe 12, 13. And the street lights, we didn't have street lights. Oh, wow. You know, and so it was, it's dark in the country. Okay. But I grew up at Mount Annie Baptist Church, New Mount Annie Baptist Church. And so my grandfather and my mother and her 4 sisters, that was the choir, a couple of cousins in there. And I started playing the piano in that environment when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And so it was, it was gospel blues, it was spirituals, it was hymns. And
you don't really realize what's happening until you leave that environment. So I left that environment when I was about 18 to go to college. But up until that point, I was a minister of music and choir director, composer, all those different things.
In different areas now, this is now
Yeah,
outside.
yeah.
of the area.
Yeah. So when I left, I went up to North Carolina, went to Duke University, and started directing the Modern Black Mass Choir there. And one of the things that my grandfather always told me was a funny story. So I had done a workshop in Vancouver, and I lived up in DC for about 7 years. Had done this workshop, and I remember when I went up there, someone said, "Well, you should stay up here and do gospel music." I was like, in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. But black people been everywhere, right? But I go to the workshop, and about 110 people showed up at this workshop, and I was a little shocked because I didn't know that there was really a big movement of just choral singing, like there were a lot of community singing up there. And so we made this DVD, a little short film about the workshop. And I brought it home to my papa and I played it. Now, he saw the thing, all these people, about two black people, and I was one of them, right? But mostly, mostly, white folks, the choir.
How old is your grandfather at this time?
Well, he passed away when he was 83. And that, he actually passed away when I was living with him. But I had come home, and I came home because he had gotten sick, and I was playing this DVD for him, and I could see him kind of chuckling. But sometimes, like I always say, it's not that people don't have rhythm, but sometimes culturally we're on different rhythms, and so sometimes you just gotta line people up and move them in the right direction, right? And so he saw the people, some of them kind of swaying, bumping into each other, and he said, "Son," he said, "Is that what you've been doing? Is that your job?" I was like, "Yeah, yes, sir, that's my job." Because I didn't grow up in a family where music what could be a career because everybody did, right? Yeah, it was just what we did. Like you walk in, they start taking you to church, early on from the womb, and you're absorbing all of this music, all of the culture, all of the signals and the nuance.
You literally were born into it.
Right. And when people ask me about, well, where'd you get your music education? I tell them, well, I graduated from the Conservatorium of Black Rhythm and Religion, which is, and I would challenge anyone to name an institution that has produced more genre-defining artists than the Black Church across all genres, country, classical, and of course R&B and gospel and blues and jazz, hip hop, right?
Saturday night to Sunday.
Right on, right on, right on. We're the only thing that's different than in the juke joint than in the church are the lyrics, right? Because it's the same musician, same beats, same beats, all of it. And so, I bring this video home to my papa, and like I said, at first he chuckled, but then he got really serious. And he said, son, um, that's a good thing that you're doing. And I asked him why, right? And he said, well, it's a good thing because that music was never meant to be just for us. And it brings me back to the words of Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois when he said that the methods that we had learned for resisting slavery and oppression uh, was for our benefit, but also for the benefit of others, right? So we should be teaching those methods, particularly now, because there are so many things that we learn in that environment that we don't actually realize that we're learning. Uh, but after he told me that, that's when I really started to focus a lot of my music in non-traditional venues. So I would, travel back and forth to Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe, South America, different places like that, taking this music around because I knew that that you know, all of the misnomers that people have about who Black people are, if I can get them in an environment where I can showcase Black people's nobility, then that can change people's perception of who we are. And over the years, I've seen that happen. I've had choirs be invited. When we were in BC, we were invited to sing at the Indigenous Peoples Games. And we were the first non-Indigenous group to ever get invited because of some of the work that we were doing in the community and because of some of the connections that we made with First Nations in British Columbia. And so I've never really seen myself or actually pursued a career in professional music. Like I've always seen my music as a means to creating unity and oneness.
But in that, how did you discover that it then turns to, and we'll get into to today, but how did you discover that it could then turn to healing?
Right. Well, I knew that that's what it has always been for me and my family and our people. I recall to mind there's this incredible book by Resma Mannequin called My Grandmother's Hand. And he talks about how what they're beginning to discover now that the rocking, and the swaying, moaning actually has an effect on the nervous system. So we were actually participating in self-care. You know, um, uh, the swaying impacts the equilibrium.
One of my favorite artists, Donna Lawrence, who has I don't remember the song saying, if I can't say a word,
I'll
I'll just wave my hand. Yeah.
Right. And so even all of that moving, you talk, Brother Irvin talked about worship, creating, creating these moments of worship. That not only impacts the spirit, but now they're learning that impacts the body as well. The other thing that we've learned about music and the impact of music on the brain and even the heart is that when people sing together, their heartbeats and their breathing syncs up. And I think it's called entrainment. I think it's what you call it. So there's a lot going on in that space that when you're in it, you don't really think about it because that's not what it's for. But I'm trying to think of
it's almost like you've internalized this external experience.
Right.
So your body is responding
Right.
to that and that
Right.
self-care that you're talking
Yeah, and it's so important that we engage in that actually lower stress and actually learn to ourselves with all of those cultural gems that people have produced because there's always something in the music beyond just the performance track. And we've always known that.
Well,
right?
in that Sunday service, the traditional Sunday service or Saturday, of the Jewish faith or Seventh-day Adventist or maybe Friday, but that service was where most of us heard live music.
Right.
And so then that we were able to commune with others. So that worship
Right.
experience often happened in a religious setting.
Right.
Unless it was a Saturday night juke joint, but for the most part, that Sunday morning experience.
Oh,
yeah. And we are in that collective environment.
Well, and then when you think about what else was going on in that space, because prior to maybe the mid '50s civil rights movement, those were spaces that were exclusively ours, and they were not just spaces for the creation of music, but they were also spaces where we networked, we built businesses, all these different things. It was our mutual aid society. That's where we fed the people that needed to be fed, and we cared for the people that were sick. And which just makes me think about the environment that we're in today, and as a lot of us know, there were about 350,000 Black women that lost jobs, in the past 6 months or so. And so what I'm noticing, and I think that a lot of the reasons I'm noticing a lot of these things is because of the time that I've got to spend with Brother Lloyd at the school, and taking classes around business. I've noticed that a lot of us are now turning back to entrepreneurship, right? And so what that has driven me to do is to look at particularly creative entrepreneurship, how we build business around it. So I'm thinking, Harry Pace from Pace Records, the first Black-owned record label, and how every aspect of that business, the company. Or I think about
The Lincoln Production Company, who came here to Pensacola, so the first known, I always have to say that until we know more, known African-American motion picture company.
Right.
So back in the late 1800s, I think maybe 1905 is when they started. So the precursor to a whole bunch of what we see as sort of standard today.
Yeah. And so there was a lot that was done pre-integration, right? That we had to do because we didn't have the option to participate in certain segments of the society. So we built community and we were industrial. I think about Maggie and Penny Savings, right? And how she would give loans to art instruments and participate in art. A more common example is Motown, but there were precursors to Motown, Bessie Smith, and her whole thing. They told her she could ride on a train car. She bought her own train car, and she would train other artists in stage presence. Talk to them about developing a stage persona. So she had a school that was a part of her business model.
And she came through here, very well known person.
Right.
Sisters and
Right.
performing at the Belmont Theater. So
Right.
young, 15, 16 years of age, here she is playing with her.
Right.
On the piano. Yeah. So this music as a business. And then our history tells us that it had been a very good business.
Oh yeah. Madam C.J. Walker, Fannie Lou Hamer performing at Carnegie Hall and taking the $71,000 that she earned at Carnegie Hall and starting the Freedom Farm Club. So we've always kind of had times where, we didn't compartmentalize life and put the artists over here and put the business people over here, put the preachers over here, put the politicians over here. We were all in the same space. And we were leveraging each other's knowledge across different sectors of the economy and different sectors of society. So I think that, as I think about how I've been able to create a life around music, and not just performance, but also consulting and other things that I do for companies. For example, one of the workshops I do is called Co-Creating a Call and Response Culture, right? And looking at calling.
This is for companies. Don't have names.
Well, we sing, but like, I think the thing is that when we think about the whole principle of call and response, it's not just a performance practice, but it's a communicative framework. And when you think about like the role that directors play, the role that leaders play in that space, like we're not directing every note, but we're holding space for transformation. Okay. Or you have the rhythm section that is the rhythm keeper. What is, who are the rhythm keepers in the company? That's probably operation. Right? So they have to keep all the other things going so that the creators can create something. Right? And so what I've done is I've taken that practice and I've mapped it to, some common organizational practices, like appreciative inquiry. Right? So for instance, if there's no way that a company can run smoothly if people don't communicate and appreciate who's in the room. So you map that practice to the whole call and response environment, or the fact of improvisation. What happens when you improvise? We all know if any of you know jazz, you've heard of the head. Oh yeah. And every musician knows that after that solo goes out, they do whatever they do. They always come back to the head, right? So they know that. But the reason that they can go out and do what they need to do in that solo space is because that drummer keep it time. You know, and so we always have people in those spaces. And you know, I wanted to create something that drew from our cultural practice, because a lot of these early 20th century entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs, what they did is they were embedding those practices in the way that they did business.
So I want to step back, but it sounds like what you're trying to do with it. I'm certainly not trying to put words in your mouth, but from my understanding, it sounds like what you're trying to do is to have companies, groups, organizations harmonize through all these different departments. So what happens when there is this sort of, what we're seeing today, this sort of disharmony?
Right.
And I mean, you can take it on a micro scale, as you're talking about in an organization, but now on a macro scale. So this country and this world, seeing different countries, different territories really have this very, I'm going to make this word up, this harmonic effect.
Right.
Seems to be a groundswell that that is very unnerving.
Right. No, I mean, it's true, but it's not something that we haven't seen before. You know, and it's not something that we have not only endured, but figured out a way to survive and thrive through. And
there's a cartoon really bad. There's a cartoon where the world is tripping over here and all like it's going on right now. And there's a group of African American dancers doing like a line dance.
Oh yeah.
The caption is, "We've been here before, so through all of this turmoil, we can just do our line dance." Because we've been here, we've done this before.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay over and step over here. Back to my point about with Brian about the mission. We're gonna stay mission focused over here while the world is burning.
That's right. The fans,
We put out for the fans. Yeah. I'll talk about that song later. Off the air. But it really is that sort of thing where they're staying in sync here while the world is in turmoil over here, because they know that you have to stay mission focused.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, and I think that you know, one of the ways that we can remind ourselves, that, you know, because now, you know, we're dealing, you know, not with just job loss, but book bans and all of these different things, all the backlash that you know, that Brother Brian had mentioned. But you know, I teach my kids Black history in the house. You know what I'm saying? So you can take all the books off the shelf that you want. I got a whole 3, 4, 5 walls full of books of Black history. And that's where we taught it before. We taught it in our churches, you know, when we were paying into you know, when we were being taxed and our money was going to build schools for other people. We found the money, we built our own schools and did the thing and educated our kids. And so we might have to do a little bit of that in the meantime.
Let me just surmise, we should have never stopped.
Right.
You should,
Right.
we, they, us, whoever should have never stopped. That practice is imperative.
Right.
Regardless, staying mission focused.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not discounting someone else's history, it's celebrating.
Well, it's also, you know,
history is a part of this global society.
Well, and we can't have any misgivings about where we are and where we've always been, you know, and so this was one of the things that was so inspiring to start to revisit those stories again, is to see that, and then you ask the question, okay, what is the 2025 equivalent of that? You know, now that we have, you know, we have AI. You know how that, I mean, as a musician, that's impacting the whole music business, turning on it. I mean, you know, you got AI performers signing deals.
The actors, the
Actors,
writers.
AI. But I think that what is going to happen, and I even see it happen, people are beginning to value these in-person gatherings a lot more. They want it to be. They don't want to, you know, mediate the entirety of their life through screens anymore, because it's getting to the point to where you don't know if it's real or not. And so,
And we we had I'm saying we as a society, we had an idea when the speech didn't line up with the movement. But now, because of the advances in technology, it looks very real. And so this virtual reality has all of a sudden become a reality.
Right.
And and then people, I heard somebody say that when you stop calling Chat GPT by Chat GPT and start calling it Charles, because now it really is your friend.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Perhaps your only friend, your only
Right.
social interaction.
Well, and I think that that's why it's important for us to gather, because there is a particular power in gathering people together. Like I like pulling people together around song, around music. Um, like Billy Preston said, everybody likes some kind of music, right? And and so to bring people in spaces where we can experience joy, where we can connect with one another, uh, that's even a protest in and of itself. To say that I'm gonna prefer the in-person gathering over maybe the Zoom call. Because we thought, I think that, we having just come through this pandemic, we actually were in a space where, everybody was, oh yeah, we just embrace this technology, it's gonna be great for everybody. But after we got through the pandemic, we realized that it was not necessarily mentally good for, right? And now they have a name for it. They got Zoom fatigue or something. When you're on there too much. And so, the folks that I talk to, I encourage, get out and actually go hang out, go to the cafe, come to something like this where you can actually shake hands and laugh and experience joy with people, because we oftentimes underestimate the power of joy.
Go to the beach.
Right.
Go to the park. Yeah.
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 I love walk, stand in the sun, take a deep breath every once in a while, and take advantage of all this wonderful stuff that's going on in the city.
Let's go through, so the title is Music History and Healing. So let's go through how you were able to, and I know you had a co-writer, you were able to bring, again, like I said at the top, when most of us met you when you found out about you with the Henry Box Brown musical. How then did you see that helping in all of those three spaces, the music, the history, and the healing? Because I think the first thing I said to you was, "Oh, that drum, oh, that percussion,
Oh yeah,
the EAD band." And so how did that come about? And then what was going on in your head?
Yeah, well, initially when the idea came up, it came up due to a question that some of the young people in our theater company in New York was asked about the content of the shows that we and it was their teenagers, because they were kind of aging out of the theater.
You had a children's theater.
Yeah, so it was age 4 to 14. And when they got about 13, 14, they were like, well, we want to do more musicals about us, about our history. Majority of the kids were Black and brown children. And so we started writing things. We wrote musicals around civil rights movement, the freedom rides, different things like that. And then they would do, we adapted a musical that another friend of ours wrote called Respect, the Musical History of Women. Where we were able to tell some of the history of some of these groups, women. And then we ran across this book called Henry's Freedom Box, which is a children's book. And my co-composer, uh, basically said we should develop something around here. So it was initially developed for kids, because the story was so fascinating. And
Give us a cliff notes just in case people don't know who Henry Box Brown was.
so in 1849, Henry Box Brown convinced a white shopkeeper and white minister to put him in a box and mail him from Virginia to Philadelphia. And the whole trip was 27 hours in a box. So he took trains and boats and different things like that. And they mailed him to a group of abolitionists in Philadelphia. And so we, we thought that was a fascinating story. We also figured, okay, well, the set will be minimal because most of it will be done by box. So that we can do that. But our kids, love the story. And so, we had a lot of friends that were involved, in theater, Broadway, different things in New York. And they came up to us and they said, well, listen, y'all should develop this as as an adult production. And like, really? They were like, yeah. So I had a lot of friends up there in New York that were in choirs, and so called them in uh, and had them, sing this music. And when we heard them like really bring that kind of gospel spiritual feel to all of that we have kids, then we went back to the drawing board and was like, okay, this thing can work. And so we ended up taking it to the local French choir.
Scotland.
Yeah, yeah, and won a couple of awards over there. And then we